So today we're going to start off with doing a reusable text component. So if you can see here, instead of you having to write all of these separate text styles with like this, you can instead do a reusable text component. If you minimize the amount of code you write. So let's get rid of these ones. And let's go ahead and go into folders, and we create a new folder called app. And then in app, we create a new folder called components. And then we create a new folder inside of components named text component. And in here we do an index file. And here we can start off with a simple snippet. It looks like this. It looks pretty good. Text component. By the way, the snippets I use are called ES7 React Native React Redux snippets. It's available as an extension. Highly recommend it. So here we can start off by removing the view because we don't need that, and then we can start by defining the interface of what kind of props we want our reusable text component to be able to handle. So let's do text component props, and here we can say, for example, content, which is a string. We can say font size, which is a number, but we should be careful and set this one as optional, because sometimes we just want to add a simple text. We can do color, yeah, that's great. We can maybe do is bold as well. Okay, so that's a great start. So let's import this so we can use a functional component and add let's actually move this one up here and do it like this. Text component props, great. Let's save that so it formats. So now we need to pass in the props here and maybe set some default values for some of them. So for content we can do as simple as that. Font size 16, yeah, standard. Color should be black. And is bold should be false. So let's define our style object now. So we can do, oh sorry, we should also add in style here. And since we need an object for that, we can import text style from React Native. That will work. So let's actually name this text styles. And let's use the text style, yeah. Sorry, forgot to add style as a prop here. Here we can define, we define the styles object that we're gonna pass into the text component below, as I'll show in a bit. So let's do color, and as for font weight we need to say that if it's set to is bold, then it should be bold, otherwise normal. Great, and then we can spread the style object that we pass in. And close this one. Great. So in our text object, we can now pass in the text object here, text styles, and then we should also change this one to content. So great. So now we have our props, some default values for our props, and our style object. Great. So let's head back to app t6, and then here we can remove our default. We can actually remove all these styles since we don't need them anymore, and we can also remove that text style here. So now we can import text component, and then we can add it like so. And as we add it now, since we have this one should be optional as well. We have content, that's the only one that isn't optional, then we have to add a content here. So let's say this is my first reusable text component. Let's save it. So you can see it popping up over here. So now let's try and do some changes to it. So let's, for instance, I can add color, and then I will add the color of red for the text. Yeah, that checks out and works. So I'm gonna copy this twice more, and do a second, third, and then we're gonna reuse this a bit. So let's maybe set this one to blue, plus this one to teal. Great. So now let's say if this, I intend for this to be a header, so I'm gonna change the font size to be 30, maybe 24, 20 looks good on that iOS device. Great, so then we can also, for this one, we can say is bold. And since we're passing it in, it becomes true. So now the blue text is set as bold. And for the last one, we can also add in our own inline style property. For example, we can add in a background color if we want to be yellow. That looks good. So now we have our first iteration of the reusable text component, and I think it works great. So let's go ahead and add some more optional stylings to it. So maybe we can add, so here we can now add the text transform, which we can then use to toggle between uppercase, lowercase, or capitalize the first letter. So let's pass it in here as well, and we should set a default value to, oh, I forgot one. We should set the default value to none, actually. Text transform none. Great. And so we pass it in here as well. Great. Let's see if that works. So for the bold one, we can try text transform uppercase. Great. And also we can let's try and add a number of lines in case we want to define how many lines the text should be on, simply put. Number of, but this one won't go into the style object. This one will actually go, it will go into the props, of course. It will go into the text component here. Great. So now we can set it to number of lines, say for example 3 lines. But then we also need to pass in the style object, and I'll lower the width a bit so that it has to scale down with 30%. Then you can see that it's now free in the number of lines is now free, and it will cut off the text at the bottom here so that it can definitely fit on 3 lines. Maybe if I add to a 4th line, yeah, then it looks great. So 2 lines, 1 line. So we can also, of course, increase this one to make it more wide. Then we should also, just for test coverage for the future, should always add a test ID. Test ID for whatever testing framework you use, but it's nice to have it covered. Great. Then you can just add it like this. And I say up first text, for example, just to have coverage. So that's it for this video. In the next one I'm gonna show you how to do the same thing but with buttons, like primary button and secondary button, which are really reusable, and set a bunch of predefined sizes and such. So I hope to catch you in the next one. So make sure to subscribe and like, and I will be posting all of my content on Patreon, so it's readily available for you. Bye!